And joining me to discuss the state of affairs in Plateau is a security consultant who served in the U.S. military as a counter-IED intelligence analyst, Tanwa Ashiru. Thanks a lot for joining us on the news at 10. And before we say anything, of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and everyone in Plateau State who's suffering at this time. But how does this sort of invasion happen? It continues, and then until scores and scores of people are dead without any reply from security agencies.
Well, if we understand the makeup of Plateau State, it's a very diverse state. I believe I recently read that there are about 40 different ethnic groups that are co-located there. Now, the unfortunate thing has been the skewed reporting. When we read about this particular situation, we saw that it started off with some Berom youth who attacked or rustled cows or cattle and also killed about 4 Fulani men. Now, that's the allegation in terms of the homicide. And as a result of that, there was a reprisal attack. Now, we didn't hear about the initial incident that occurred. And so what we have to do is then figure out what is that problem in between. The problem is the inability for the security agencies to find the people who perpetrated that first act and nip it in the bud. And because the Fulani people who were attacked realized that, look, if you're not going to help us find the people who are rustling our cattle, we're going to take matters into our own hands. And that's how we got to this point.
But that's how we got to this particular point. But in terms of improving the way we gather intelligence, looking at the way the attacks happen, it appears premeditated, it's coordinated, it's carried out for a long period of time. It's not like a flash attack, come and go. So why is it that we're always reacting to it?
Reacting. Now that's the issue, and that's the issue we've always talked about with regards to the way we approach security in Nigeria. It tends to be very reactive. There's a lot of other things that we could have done prior to, things like early warning. So the moment we saw or heard that this incident occurred, the security structure within the state, the local communities, the leaders of the communities, the traditional leaders in the communities, they should have immediately stepped in, reassured everyone, and done everything they could to try to figure out who perpetrated this attack so that you don't get those reprisal attacks. So we tend to be very reactive. And in our reaction, it's about calling in the forces. Or let's call in the heavy hands, let's call in the guns, let's call in the military and the police. And that's not always the way forward. You have to call in the elders, you have to call in people. There must be dialogue to sit down and make sure that it doesn't go to the next level.
We've seen several attempts at calling in elders. We've also seen military exercises, military operation in some cases, special, police force, anti-bomb squad, etc. But then you find the attackers still coming. They're still able to raise down whole villages in some instances. What sort of approach, coordinated approach, do you think the security agencies need?
There must be constant surveillance, and there must be a flow of information between the locals and the security forces in the area. Now, if you ask me, when such things happen, I tend to question what the level of security forces that are in that immediate community. Why? The incident supposedly happened around 1 o'clock and happened until 7 or 8, and such. That's what the reports were saying. So for about 7 hours, a massacre is going on and nobody responded. So in this particular situation, we're looking at the need for there to be constant surveillance, constant reconnaissance by the security forces to know in what direction people are going, and early warning signals to go ahead and act before things get really bad. Okay,
my final question now. Some people have said that we perhaps need international help, stronger help than we have already. What would you say to that? Seeing as it's also, we also hear from one security analyst after the other that the military is overstretched. What sort of help do you think we need from outside? Well,
the last time this happened, there was actually a lot of collaboration and a lot of help that came in, both from the international NGOs and also even other non-profit organizations that have to do with conflict resolution. So we had a lot of collaboration that happened that brought the peace to the state. But I believe it's not necessarily international. I think that we need to really localize policing. If you're looking at a state that has multiple people that live in there and they're very different, why would you bring outside methods of policing into that community? You have to figure out how to localize it, and that's the best way forward. All right, security analyst Tanwa Ashiru, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts with us on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you.